Good afternoon, Facebookers and YouTube. Welcome to another Sunday evening session with Brian and Janice. We are again so elated to have you here on this beautiful Sunday evening. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and you've been able to enjoy and do some of the things that you desire to do. We have such a great conversation coming at you today, and I know it's going to strike a lot of interest. And also, I hope that you become involved in this conversation. We're going to talk about, do you think that poverty still exists in Black America? And also, do you feel that poverty has gotten worse in Black America? Do you think that there is a way out of poverty in Black America? And when I say poverty, I'm not talking about just those that are living on the streets. I'm not talking about those that just don't have a job. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about working class, hardworking Americans, African Americans, that feel that it's very difficult to make it and to thrive in this Americas. I'm talking about people that are getting up, going to work every day, two-parent households, working very hard to coexist and to bring and make ends meet. Also, I'm talking about those of you that have to work multiple jobs, more than one job, just to make ends meet. I'm also talking about you entrepreneurs that are out there creating and doing your own thing, that's actually out there making it better. Do you find yourself constantly in a hole? Do you find yourself having obstacles that come up your way that you're having to take from this account and that account to make ends meet? Do you have a nest egg? Can you set aside and say, I truly have enough wealth or enough income in one of my accounts to survive for at least a year? It used to be, people say, if you have enough money, my dad used to always say, sweetie, always keep enough money in one of your accounts that you can survive 6 months without working. I'm changing that now. I appreciate you, Dad, for teaching me that. But do you have enough income that you can last for 1 year without going completely broke? Okay, Brian Watts, I'm going to let you do what you do and help me on this one.
I think that is an excellent segue into our discussion. So good evening, Facebook family. Good evening, YouTube family. We are excited to be back. Had a beautiful morning fellowshipping with the First Baptist Church, First Colored Baptist Church of Selma, Alabama. So shout out to the family there. Shout out to all of our friends and family. Shout out to our YouTube family as well. We thank everybody for being here. Poverty.
That's a big one, Brian.
It tugs at my heart.
Yes.
I guess if we define the basics of poverty, the poverty could be defined as not being able to sufficiently meet the needs, basic needs of an individual, be it food, clothing, shelter. Those are your basic foundational needs. So whenever those basic foundational needs are not met, that could be defined as poverty, right?
Right.
So let's talk about the Black community. If the Black community are not able to meet some of those basic functional needs as it relates to society, then we could be considered as a group collectively that are in what we would consider to be a poverty or impoverished type of system in America. Okay. Does poverty have to exist? I believe yes, because you cannot have wealth without poverty.
Wait, Brian, why? Why do you have to have poverty in order for wealth to exist?
In the capitalistic system that we're currently under in America, you have to have those that are willing to continue to fund the growth as it relates to supply and demand. And majority of the times is those that are at the bottom of the ladder that actually spends the most, continuing to fund those at the top of the ladder that produces those supplies and that create those demands. So,
well, I understand. I'm hearing what you're saying, but it's almost like an oxymoron. If you're in poverty, how are you spending so much to keep the wealth at the top? How do you do that? Because is it so many at the bottom that our income together, the income together of those in poverty continue to propel those at the top? Make it make sense.
Excellent question. Excellent question. You hit the nail on the head. African Americans make up 13% of the United States of America, which we've given this stat many times. Right now, the poverty among African Americans is over 25%. So you have 25% of the 13% of the population that actually is considered to be in poverty based on the American government system and how they actually define poverty based on income. Okay, so poverty doesn't mean that you're not making money. Okay, poverty doesn't mean that just means that you're not making money at the level that the government states would be enough to take care of certain basic needs that I named initially.
Okay.
That are associated with poverty, which is to sufficiently supply clothing, housing, and food. Okay.
Okay.
Also, you have to factor in the components of, is it a one-parent household? How many children exist in that household?
Okay.
Is it a two-parent household? Are there two incomes coming in?
Yes, I did.
And how many children exist with those two-parent income? But regardless of that, when 25% of the bottom of the population, okay, in America, 25 of blacks in America make up poverty, that same 25% categorically is spending more money than that middle income bracket, which in Black America makes up about 38%, and the upper echelon, what I would call the upper echelon in Black America, as far as wealth, having wealth. Now, when I define wealth, wealth is different from being what we call rich. Okay, wealth is having generational monies that has been passed down from one generation to a second generation, from a first generation to a second generation, and that same wealth continues within that family structure.
Yes.
And will be passed on to a third and a fourth and a fifth generation. That's wealth. It's enough money, be it whether it is on an entrepreneurial level, a business level, or whether it is on a level of having accumulated enough money, and the value of that money is so high that it can be passed on to the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, on down the line.
And I'm gonna
okay, so that's different from being rich. So
yes.
That's
wealth.
That's wealth. So in the population of African American, you
yes.
have less than 1% of African Americans have wealth. Less than 1%
of African Americans
have wealth. So the bulk of where we are as a group of people, we reside somewhere between the poverty line and the lower middle class line.
So Brian, let me interject here for a minute, and let me ask you, let me bring this to you, because I know you will have the best answer for me. We were listening to a great podcast just a few minutes ago. It was awesome. It was about blacks in poverty. And today, everything is so inflated. And I'm sure everybody is seeing that. So what I'm going to say is that, do you see a difference in the mindset, the shifting of the mindset in the way that blacks are spending in reference to where we are now, knowing that we're in somewhat of an economic hardshell versus how they were spending 10 years ago? Or do you think the mindset of the impoverished has always been to spend, spend, spend? My mom used to call them spendthrifts.
Mm-hmm.
Spendthrift. And when you talk about wealth, I've always heard people call that old money.
Mm-hmm.
That's money that's been passed down from generation to generation. It is so hard to somebody that came up impoverished and make it to a high middle income bracket they have to keep churning that wheel so that they can leave something behind for their children if they have that kind of a mindset. But you have people out here, Black Americans, that are working hard, that are accomplishing things, that are steadily spending and not thinking about leaving anything for their children or their children's children, as the Bible speaks of. They're so busy trying to get stuff and wealth. We want to spend it as fast as we get it.
Well, let me interject here and say this. When you go to college and you receive a 4-year degree, okay, and that 4-year degree is in nursing, okay, and you do not take any financial classes as it relates to how to produce wealth,
Okay.
from income. So let me even break it down, just make it granular so that everybody understand. If you don't take financial classes that helps you to understand how the GDP works, helps you to understand what the whole terminology of interest means as it relates to your money, how your money accumulate interest. If you don't take classes to understand how inflation works based on supply, demand, if you don't take classes that would simplify to you how to have investments outside of just an income coming in from your job, or how to use that income that comes in from your job into invest, then the only thing you focus on, especially if you have not been in a position to where you have had a lot of wealth, once you start making money from that profession that you have now gone to school, got a 4-year degree, and the money seems to be doing, the money is really something that, has put you in what America considers to be that middle income bracket, okay? You've never had some of the things growing up that you now can afford based on the money that you're making, then the whole mindset there is to now be able to buy some things that I've always wanted to buy. The mindset is not to invest first, because you've never been taught that. You've been taught that your profession will make you a good living and allow you to be a productive citizen in this America and to obtain some of the things that you may have always wanted to have, be it a nice home or a nice car. For my sisters, it may be that Louis Vuitton bag, that Fendi bag, that Gucci or that Versace, or you know how your sisters are. Some of my sisters, they want to splurge a little bit. So it may, because now that says that I have made it to a certain level. There's a certain status that in society that are able to carry these bags and wear these particular shoes. So the mindset is to present yourself as one that has something, okay, in society is not a mindset. We are never taught as African Americans how to be wealthy. We are not even taught how to be rich, because rich people don't spend their money
exactly
the same way that we spend our money. Okay? So you have to look at rich people aren't buying Versace and Louis Vuitton and Gucci with their money. Rich people are buying those items with the interest off their money, without their money ever being touched. That is the difference.
Say that again,
Okay?
Ryan. Say that one again.
Rich people purchase what based off of what their money is making them. You understand? And the money that they make, they never have to use that base to purchase some of the things they want. They're purchasing it from investments, dividends. They're purchasing it from interest dividends.
So they're never touching their money.
They're not using
Their
the
money.
base of their money. Okay, the base of their money is used to purchase other businesses or create other venues that they know poor people will buy. That goes back to marketing. Okay, marketing to those that have a poor mindset but maybe have a degree and make $80,000 or $70,000 or $90,000 a year, but their mindset is still to consume because they've never had. And even for those that have had, the mindset is to continue to now get, so that I can present myself in a certain way as it relates to my people and as it relates to society. So there's a sickness within the black community that continues to perpetuate poverty in our families. It continues to perpetuate poverty in our neighborhoods and in our communities. So when you've got 25% of 13% of the population that are at the bottom of the American ladder that spends more than the top money makers, okay, of all groups, they spend more than the top money makers of all groups. There is a mental problem. You have been locked into a social system that has engineered our minds into believing that we have something economically and financially that doesn't exist within our community. Okay, so now let me say this. Let me give you another stat. Black America raked in last year over $14.2 trillion.
Wow.
We spent over $14.2 trillion as African Americans last year. Think about that. This is coming 1 year out of the pandemic. Okay, that included refund checks. Most of the refund checks were not spent as stated on paying bills. Most of the refund checks were spent on items, okay, that had nothing to do with the basic needs and functions of our people. Most of the refund checks were spent on wants, purchasing items that they did not need. Okay? So, whenever we look at that, and not only that, not just the refund checks, but we can go into checks that mothers received, additional monies, and food stamps, all of the assistance that were given out during the pandemic shows that black people used those monies, those that were at the 25% of which is the poverty level of black, use those monies for something other than taking care of basic needs. Whenever we do that, there is a mental illness as it relates to the misunderstanding and the misappropriation concerning monies, okay, and how financially, how money works, okay. I tell everybody, if your money doesn't make money for you, then you are not making money. Yes, you may have a nice income. You may make $100,000 plus a year. But if you do not put that money into vehicles that can carry that money and make money for you, then you are not making money. You are not considered to be of any in the economic world, in the financial world. You are not considered to be of any value. You are a liability and not an asset because you're not producing anything from what you have. Okay?
And you know, Brian, it's sad. People don't want to hear this. They don't. We are having, I mean, let's be real. You see it every day. People are struggling and they're talking about it. But when you have it, what do you do with it? They're spending it as fast as they get it. And you have children, and the children's got all these fancy technology, electronics. They got on the latest Jordans and what have you. And Michael Jordan, them sitting back, just say, keep spending, keep buying, keep buying. We're creating wealth for them. Mm-hmm. We're not doing anything to help ourselves.
Listen, when you take your paycheck and now listen at this, and it's just, everybody don't think like this. So I'm not grouping all African Americans in the same, within this same bubble. Okay, but if you are part of this bubble that would take monies, you got a broke down jalopy. You understand what I'm saying? That you know needs servicing.
Yes.
And instead of you servicing the jalopy, you take that money and you go out and buy a $300 pair of tennis shoes. And that jalopy is responsible for getting you to that job where you making barely $16 an hour, $15 an hour, okay, which is no money. $15 an hour now with almost a 10% inflation rate.
It's like minimum wage.
But no, it's less than minimum wage. It equals out to roughly about $3.55 an hour.
Wow.
Okay. So you take that paycheck, instead of putting food on the table, getting the car service so you can continue to go to work and continue to provide for your family, you take $300 of that paycheck and you go out and buy some tennis shoes. That is a poverty mentality. You understand? Yes. So what else is a poverty mentality? A poverty mentality sees what they want above what they need.
Yes.
Yes. They do not understand the concept of putting money into areas that causes you to be stable. And then from that foundation, that stability, any other money goes into an account that can at least generate some funding on your monies. Okay? Savings accounts are what they are. They're less than 1% right now as far as interest rate. You're not going to make any money off a savings account. Money market accounts. You can have some that are 4 to 5%. Okay, that'll make money from your money sitting there. Okay, we have what we call in the financial world, we have what we call dead money, meaning it's money that I can take, I can put it somewhere and just let it sit, not touch it, don't worry about it. whether it is in a money market share account or whether it is in a mutual fund account. If I put it in a mutual fund account, it's going to bring, as far as a mutual fund interest-bearing account, it's probably going to make me 7 to 8%, depending on what mutual fund account I buy. Okay, if I take that same money and I want to go into riskier investments and look at putting that money into certain stock options or either into the electronic market, be it ETFs, EFTs, or either cryptocurrency, that's just dead money that I can put in certain accounts and let it accumulate money for me. Now, the thing with that, in the riskier accounts, you have to watch your money. You have to manage your money. It does not limit you from gaining money, but at the same token, you have to be a good steward and manage the money that you're putting into those type of venues, okay, and putting into those type of vehicles, okay, to gain more money. But we don't, like I said, if we're educated, we do not venture down those paths. Okay? I've met educated people that don't even know what an IRA account is, didn't know what an IRA Roth account was, putting $50 a week into a savings account, not knowing that a savings account is almost 0% interest. It doesn't make you any money. You're just putting money there as a holding sale, basically, for emergency situations. That's what a savings account should be used for. A savings account money should not be put there to say that you are making money, because savings accounts don't make you money. You understand? Savings accounts are simply emergency funds. Okay? So I don't care how much you say you have in your savings, you don't have any wealth. If you got money in your savings account and that's the only thing you have money in, you don't have any money. Because savings account doesn't do a thing. So what your dad was telling you is that you need to have 6 months of money that's set aside in an account that does nothing but hold that money for you, just in case you find yourself in a situation. That's all a savings account does. Okay? So, black people, we have, we have been our own worst enemies in continuing the cycle of poverty within our own community. Okay? We can make all of the information available. Black people have to act on the information that's being made available.
That's right.
Okay? And we got to stop living like paupers. When I say that, we got to stop spending like
there's no tomorrow.
Like money has conscience. You understand what I'm saying? So I want to make your money live for you.
Yeah.
Okay? So when your money start to talk to you and tell you, look, brother, you poor. Yeah, you may be driving a nice vehicle, but you barely can pay for the vehicle. When the vehicle needs brakes, you can't even go buy brakes. You can't even afford the tires. So you riding on onion skins, but yet you driving this nice vehicle. See, that's when your money starts to talk to you. And when your money tells you, yeah, you may have a nice home, but you can't even pay. You barely paying for the home. That's when your money starts talking to you. Yes. You don't need to go out and buy a pair of Jordans when your car needs some shoes. You understand what I'm saying? We have to start making our money come alive for us. And it needs to talk to us in order to break the poverty mindset. What do you need with an 85-inch screen TV that's $1,500 just to say I got an 85-inch screen TV?
And you live in an apartment. Okay.
And you're in an apartment, or you even in a home. And if you got a TV in a home are you watching that much TV to where 85-inch is going to really make that much of a difference between a 42-inch? Is 9 TVs going to make so much of a difference of one TV? You can't watch 5 and 6 TVs at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? We have incorporated into the system of poverty that was created in this country so that capitalism could flourish. Capitalism cannot flourish without poverty. Capitalism cannot flourish without the bottom of the echelon. Those that have been put into the system to continue to spend and to continue to get what is being parceled out to them. Capitalism will not work if the poverty mindset and the poverty created from a system does not function.
You know,
Okay?
Brian, I think...
So we have to continue, like I said, we perpetuate that in our community. We continue to do that to ourselves. Sorry for cutting you off, but go ahead.
We have to be more vigilant in getting our people, our youth, number one. You know, I don't worry about the grown folks no more. Just gonna be honest.
Well, you should, because now some of the grown folks have got to pass something down to the children. So you got to worry about some of the grown folks.
We need to start it in with the children. Financial literacy courses need to be incorporated into the schools. It has to be. It has to be. You got adults or grown folks that got the
financial classes need to be incorporated into the home.
Well, how are they going to get it when they're not interested in it? They're on YouTube, they're on TikTok, they're on all these social media platforms, and they're looking at the lives of these fake lives that are out there every day, showing every woman showing half of her butt and half of her breast, everything but her nipples. That is what's enticing her to do that, and it's enticing the men to do it. They're not interested. They're not interested in learning anything about financial literacy.
I agree to a point. Okay, I agree to a point. What we have to recognize is that the whole system of social media was created to market a product to a group of people. Do you understand? Now, let me give you
But it's successful. Because when you're on there talking about financial literacy, people don't want to hear that.
It's not successful for poor black people that have a poor mentality. So listen to what I'm saying, okay? Listen to what I'm saying. If you are on social media and you're not making money from social media, then you have a mentality that is one that the marketeer I would use as myself. I want to market to you a product where I can make money. So you have those people that are on social media, okay, looking at each other's butts and all of these things that you say they're looking at. Yes, that's fine. But they have ads to pop up. They have social media, AI now, and it's been doing it. Detect certain habits of what you buy, advertise to you. That is the whole foundation of why social media was created. It was created and designed to keep those people that will spend based off of them seeing a product. Even if they don't have the money to spend it, they will use, they'll steal, they'll kill, they'll do whatever necessary. They'll forsake their family.
That's what
all
I'm
of
saying,
those things they will do to continue to not only watch the social media, but feed into the concept of what it is.
Well, Cassandra, thank you, because
to be that, you know.
You get it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly. We have lost these people. Know all the information that's out there on social media, on You can learn about finances from a lot of these platforms. The podcasts that you watch, but they're not interested in this. The
You
people
can't
are not
say
interested.
that, but
They're not,
no,
Brian.
you can't say that. You're not interested.
I am because I'm with you.
Well, if you weren't with me, all right. So now let's put the rubber to the road. Okay? All right. So now, all right. That's
No, you can't
okay.
say that.
Hold on now. I'm just making a point.
That wasn't a valid point.
Yes, it was a valid
No,
point.
it was not.
So if it wasn't a valid point, all right, here we go, Facebook family, YouTube family.
This is not about you and me. It's about helping others.
That's what I'm
It is
saying,
not-
but you cannot place everybody in the same bubble.
But you got 80% of the people out there that are doing just what you're blind to. They are not listening to this. Look how many viewers we got. People they're sitting down on their phone. They can click over and hear what you're saying, but they'll rather be watching something provocative.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Part of my profession and my education was in finances in college, okay? So I'm more interested, quite natural. That's what I'm saying. You were not. Not because you didn't want to make money or you didn't want to do the right thing by money, okay? So here's what I'm saying. Your profession was nursing, right? So that's what your emphasis was on. Always on healthcare, healthcare, healthcare. My interest is on how to make money and to leave wealth behind me. How to create that fifth generational wealth to where I invest in my great, 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 great. You understand what I'm saying? That has always been my concept, okay, is to generate wealth. Along the way, I've been able to...
Do you know a lot of black Americans are saying, I'm going to get mine. They're going to have to figure it out just like I had to figure it out.
Well, I understand that, but that is the perpetuation of the poverty mindset being passed down from generation to generation. We have to stop the passing down of the poverty mindset from generation to generation.
That is why I say we got to find a way to reach the people. If we have to start with the young people, if they're that glued to the Bluetooth and to Facebook and to TikTok, get some way we can get them in, make financial literacy fun.
You cannot tune a person into it. Now, what you can do from a marketing aspect, brothers and sisters, is we can market as it relates to what you're talking about, making financial literacy fun, okay, and making it learnable. You could take the concept of like a Veggie Tales for the young people, and you could teach that concept. But there again, see, here's the problem, Janice. You've got in our community, we've got to get our people back to them understanding that first, before we can do anything, that part of the system that was created by this country was created for them to only move to a certain level as they existed in the United States.
So in other words, they don't want us to have wealth.
So, right. And that has never been in this country. So now, if I go back to the historically and look at the concept, you were not allowed to be partakers of free land when the land grants were all being given out.
Yes.
Okay. The GI Bill that initially came out, you know how many black soldiers were not able to access that wealth? The GI Bill created more middle-class families probably than any other bill ever passed by Congress.
I believe that.
Okay. So we were not able to participate in that. Initially, when welfare first came out, there were no blacks that were able to actually receive welfare from the federal government. None. So those are the things that we don't talk about. But the welfare, and this is the difference. The Europeans used that system as a propeller to launch them into the middle class bracket. And therefore, out of that came what we know now as the American dream. The family, the dog, the white picket fence, and owning a home. That's the American dream. Black people were relegated to existing in multi-complex apartment units that eventually became known as the ghetto. Okay, so that was the system. That's how it was created and designed to work around what we're discussing today called poverty. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to show our people, how do we break this mental slavery that we're dealing with as it relates to finance? That's when we have to bombard social media, okay, with our history so that they understand that they are continuing this cycle of poverty amongst themselves by participating in what is even known as social media.
You know,
when it comes to certain things,
I got friends. I got friends my age, and I'm not gonna say friends on that end because most of my friends, a lot of them got it, getting it or got it. But a lot of people that I personally know that are making good money, and I just ask them, you know, what are you investing in? What are you? Well, I got money in my savings account. They have no.
Listen, we can do this. See, all right. Me and you could say, okay, we're gonna have a barbecue. All right, we're gonna feed you. We want everybody to come to the barbecue. Black people like to party, okay, for the most part. All right, throw a party, and when everybody get to the party, during the barbecue, we teach financial literacy. On the plates, we have, you know, the Dewey Decimal System. If we put on the back of the plate, compound interest.
They're going to see that because they're not going to turn the plate over. They're going to put that in the trash once they empty the plate. It has to be on the center of the plate.
We'll put it on the solo cup. But and I'm just using that as an example. We have to get creative in order to break some of these cycles.
Yes.
Okay. You tell black folks, hey man, we're going to be having a nice party. We want you to come. I don't have to tell you what's going to be at the party, what we're going to be doing. Now, you have one choice when you get there. We're going to do this before we eat. So if you don't want to eat and you don't want to listen to this, you may have to leave.
You may have to leave.
Okay. But we have to get creative.
Yes, we do.
That's the bottom line. Okay. So we have to start doing something to make people realize, okay, that there's more to, being wealthy than just being able to go out and buy something that I want. That's not wealth. And that's not being rich either.
No,
that's really being foolish.
That's right.
Okay?
And you have to think about it, Brian. You got a lot of communities that are majority black communities. And you got people in the leadership that are in position to teach and educate the community on financial literacy. But are they doing it? Is it taking place? A lot of them themselves are not even literate. They're illiterate financially. They don't understand it. So you got to bring those people in that can help our communities build wealth. Even if you're doing it just for your foe and no more, you got to find a way to break the cycle because this world is changing every second. Our children and grandchildren are not going to make it off of how we made it. A lot of these systems that are in place to help, that the government has to keep you downtrodden, they're going to pass away. They're even looking at Social Security. A lot of people are working just dependent upon Social Security. When I retire, well, I'll just get my Social Security because a lot of the jobs, they don't even have retirement mechanisms in place now to help these people. A lot of big jobs, they don't even have retirement set up for these people.
They have 401ks now, sweetie.
They do. Okay. Some of them do. Some of them are doing away with that, Brian.
Yeah. Well, they can't technically do away with that because that is law.
And a lot of
Okay.
people are not putting into those, Brian.
No, they have to put into those that money is coming out automatically. The federal government, the law as it relates to 401k, certain percentage, whether they want to or not, is mandated to go into a 401k.
And they can put the least amount in.
Well, it's mandated. You understand what I'm saying? They can add to it, but the least amount is mandated. You understand what I'm saying? So we want to be accurate with what we're saying as it relates to that. So if they work a full-time job and the job has a 401k, the law mandates that a certain portion of that 401k monies have to go into the 401k, period, whether they want it to or not.
The company invests in
and the company will match it. They have company matches. Now, you'll find different levels of matching as it relates to whatever the company is. But yes, I agree with you that most pension plans with companies have gone away and they've been replaced by 401ks. The downside of that is 401ks are controlled by the market. So when the market fluctuates, your money in your 401k fluctuates also. When we had the big housing bubble burst, most people lost money. Their 401k took a dive, $20,000 to $30,000 left out of their 401k. Now, as the market came back, you saw that money come back.
Yes.
Okay, so it's controlled by the market. That's why I tell people, if you have a 401k on your job, then you need to diversify your 401k. You need to know what vehicles that you can take monies and you can divide monies out of your 401k, put into certain vehicles that are not aggressive, that are aggressive, that are medium aggressive, all of those things. You need to know those things. And that's what black people don't know. We're trusting somebody else to manage our money. Do not trust somebody else to manage your money, because when you do that, they manage the money based on the interests of themselves and not the interest of you. Everybody has to understand that. Money is not managed. If a company is managing your 401k and you never look at it, you don't know what's in your 401k, you haven't diversified your 401k, you don't look at it to see what is actually, what options are being made available every day in your 401k, and you're letting your company manage it, then they're going to manage it on behalf of their best interest and not on behalf of your best interest. Okay. Bottom line. Okay, so you are right. We have to begin to look at those things. We have to consciously sit down and say, okay, I need to educate myself on the monies that I have in my 401k and where those monies are being divvied out to.
And see, a lot of people don't understand that. That's why I'm saying you got to start educating our people. And I think it's going to start with the youth. I really, really do.
The youth has a better... Frederick Douglass says it's easier to teach children than it is to reteach grown men. So I agree with you.
We talked about it in Sunday school today.
Yes, I agree with you in that context. But we also have to, like I said, we have to break the cycle where we have to learn that these systems that have been set up in place have been set up in place to keep a certain group of people at the bottom and as the labor class that produces wealth for others. See, what slavery did is made more millionaires out of white people than ever at any point of time in history. Mm-hmm. Slave labor produced, I'll say that again, more millionaires amongst whites and generational wealth among whites than at any point in American history. That is why it is so important today for a form of slavery to continue in order to keep the capitalism and the way that capitalism functions moving within the structure of the system. Okay? You've got to have a class of people that governmentally are in poverty that will spend their money with those that are at the top and keep the revolving door circulating. That's the bottom line. Okay? All right, so anything else we got? We want to...
Give us something from Dr. Claude Anderson on Powernomics. This is awesome.
Okay,
I love that.
Dr. Claude Anderson, everybody go get this. Powernomics, the national plan to empower Black America. Powernomics, and Dr. Claude Anderson is, I feel like he's one of my mentors. I've got all of his books. I've read his books intently, and he is just phenomenal. But When he talks about the levels of functionality within a community as it relates to economics. He talks about black people first having to learn how to be accountable to one another, how to practice group cooperation with one another, and then how to put in place group trust with one another. And then finally, functionality of the community. Operate within those three tiers in order to rebuild our community. We see part of Black America's problem when you look at the root cause is we don't trust each other. So the system was put in place to continue to divide us, even as it relates to our money. And if they can keep us divided, then we'll never practice group economics. We will never practice group cooperation, right? We will never be accountable for our money being spent amongst ourselves. We will always spend it with someone other than ourselves.
Exactly.
When we do not trust one another. And
that's a part of information too. Sharing.
Yes. It is a part of information. And we have to understand, sweetie, that we don't, as black people, we don't, when you got $14.2 trillion that run through the black community, and we still have ghettos and homelessness within our community. Imagine if you take that money.
Half of it at least. Just say half of it.
And invest it into re-establishing. You don't even have to, this is not about giving away anything. This is about re-establishing a foundation for poverty to be broken within our community and for a foundation to be laid for investment in our community. So that means that putting businesses in. See, we depend on the government to create certain laws that gives us access to being able to start businesses, things of that nature, okay? We see some of that within the gentrification process. We see that even up under Donald Trump's presidency. What did he put in as far as the neighborhood community where you go in and you can invest in a neighborhood business, things like that. I forget the particular name of the law. But anyway, even up under that administration, they were doing certain things that allowed blacks, those that could, to try to break into the market, okay? If black people took that $14.2 trillion and pooled it all together and say, okay, we don't need that law. We're going to foundate in our every community that is majority African American. We're going to find out not majority brown. You understand what I'm saying? Majority African American. Okay, so that's what Dr. Claude Anderson talked about too. He talked about the ethnic subgroups that take away from African American people. Okay, yes, we love our brown people. We love our brothers and sisters that are not African American, quote unquote. They may be Caribbean American. They may be, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And yeah, we love our brown people. But we want to concentrate on the group that has been most marginalized in the history of this country, which is African Americans. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of the Caribbean Americans come over here and they are entitled just like anybody else that's an immigrant to more than what we are entitled to. Okay?
There it is.
Immigration and the remaking of Black America. Gives you those stats and shows you how the system is designed to work to continue to suppress us. If we take that $14.2 trillion and just create a working base to end poverty and to establish a foundation where those that are African American can create their own businesses, their own towns, in their own cities again, okay, like the Black Wall Street. Right here in Alabama, we had, but most people don't know this, a Black Wall Street. Now where Lake Jordan is, used to be a Black Wall Street. If you dive to the bottom of Lake Jordan, guess what you're going to find? You're going to find the black town there that was all black, that was flourishing before they decided to strip the, and you all Google this, okay? To strip those black people of the businesses they had erected. They had their own school. They had their own grocery store. They did the same thing here in the little state of Alabama, which was, in my opinion, the most racist state because it was the capital of the Confederacy. In the actual Confederacy, it was the most racist state. But stripped those black people out and flooded their town. And at that time made the largest lake in the state of Alabama. Okay? And if you dive to the bottom today, you still could see some of the school buildings and some of the buildings that were erected. See, we had black ingenuity that created these type of little towns all over America where black people were living. You see what I'm saying? What was called the American dream, but they created their own. Now you got to wake up because the dream has turned into a nightmare. You know, we are now still the most discriminated when it comes to getting a housing loan. We are the most ostracized when it comes to getting bank loans to open businesses. All of those things. So if you break the code of getting into the system, you got to be able to take that same money and manage it. And not only, because when you start managing what you have, and what you'll find is people come out the woodwork when they start seeing you flourishing. Family members, now everybody want to borrow from you because they feel, oh, he make this much money, she make that much money, I can call so-and-so. No, break those habits. And we have to start investing back into our people in a constructive way.
Yes.
Okay? She'll tell you, whenever a family member comes to me, I ask them, what's wrong with your budget? How does your budget look? Tell me what your budget is. They know they're going to get elected. Guess what? That stopped them from that. They don't call me as much anymore.
But that's sad because we need to be educating them. They need
and that's why I do that. I educate them. Let me first help you with your budget and see where the money is going. Okay? Now, Janice, she she says that I'm tough when it comes to. No, I'm not tough. I'm very reasonable. But if I can do it, little old me, then you can do it. You're no
finance
different,
major,
but still, you're no different. They're no different. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
because
they are different.
No, they're not different. Because this was something that even college limits you, even in that. You understand
you have
what I'm
a
saying?
passion for
No, I have a passion.
No, finances.
Well, that I do, but
yes.
I also have a passion to know why I had to grow up. Even though we had a lot of love, we really didn't know we were poor. But still, we grew up in poverty. So I wanted to know why. Why did I grow up in poverty? When we were able to buy a home, I saw my parents working 2 and 3 jobs just to pay for our 1,200 square foot home. You understand what I'm saying? So why did and that didn't happen until I was in high school. So all of my life, we grew up in the projects first and then rentals, moving from here to there. In the rentals that we had to get, they were not nothing that, you understand what I'm saying? They just really was a basic roof over our head. You understand? And they were owned by, guess who?
The government, the white man.
There you go, Mr. Johnny. You understand? So I wanted to know what is it that they have that I don't have, and how can I break this cycle within my family
And you did it.
Okay.
I mean, you.
Somewhat. We're still working on it, is what I would say. Okay. We're still not at that place to where when you transition, I transition, there are 4 levels of wealth left that'll reach 4 generations.
Yeah, I get it.
You understand what I'm saying? So how do we determine success? White folks determine success different from black folks. Black folks determine success by driving a Mercedes and having a nice home. That is not success. That is not what the America defines as success. Success is when you can leave 3 generations of wealth behind and your legacy and you still be talked about to the 5th generation. And your great-great-great-grands be bragging on what grandma and granddaddy built that's still in their family that they are running. Now, we have to condition our children and help them to understand that this is important to keep the cycle of the legacy of our family alive. We don't emphasize that within the black community anymore. See, we've gotten off track when it comes to
I agree.
your ancestors and what they did. They established those towns to be able to leave to their children and those businesses to leave to their children. When those things were demolished through terroristic acts
Yes.
of groups that destroyed our community, they never rebounded. Look at the 3 oldest surviving members of the 1921, Oklahoma bombing, what we call Black Wall Street. Look at how the judge ruled this past week.
Favor.
Did not rule in their favor and had the audacity to say that what happened to them
did not
affect their livelihood and the way that they function thereafter.
You can't tell me.
And I say the attorneys that represented,
ought to be ashamed.
I have my own opinions about that I won't say. But anyway, everything that this government and the power structure, the European power structure that's set in place. See, what you have to realize is you have black town, Montgomery is an example. You have a black city council, black mayor, black police chief, but the money that runs Montgomery is white.
Selma.
And let me say this. They put money into things that support their interests. And we have a mayor, a city council, and a police chief that is essentially doing the bidding of the white power structure, which is undergirded by money. Okay? Mm-hmm. They are doing the bidding of those people.
Wow.
So there again goes back to the poverty mentality. Poverty can't be broken when you have a leadership that doesn't understand. Okay, yes, I have to get along with you. But at some point, we have to also establish that we know enough about government and enough about finances to where we could take some of this money and roll it back into the black community. West Alabama, the west side of Montgomery has been in disarray for over 40 years now. And we have a mayor and a city council that have promised to do certain things outside of the roads and the streets being paved to re-establish that area and those areas that are occupied by African American, that is 100% African American.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now Montgomery is over 80% African American.
Yes.
And yet the power structure that runs that city is old white money. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
You
Yes.
understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? How do we redistribute that wealth into our communities to where we can start to establish our community? We have to ask these questions.
Yes.
Okay, we don't ask them begrudgingly.
No.
We have to have
We
an
want to
honest
know.
conversation And we have to have that same conversation at our kitchen tables with our children, with our neighbors. I mean, that look like us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Don't come to me asking me to borrow some money when you've gone out there and bought some Air Jordans. You understand? That's my thought process. Don't come asking me to borrow nothing when you make enough money to pay for your own debt. And the reason that you cannot see the money because you spend the money faster than you make the money, and you spending it on some things that have no
value.
You understand what I'm saying?
None. I got you.
You're spending your money. See, I tell people, if you don't see your money, you cannot count your money. Understand that. Everything is digital. So here's the point I'm making. We're on direct deposit, right?
Right.
At one time, we used to get a paper check, go to the bank and cash it. You don't have to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. All you do is just Google, look at your account, and now you go to spending. All right, so here's the whole point. If you make a budget, when that digital payroll hits, okay,
right,
you put that money into your budget sheet, your spreadsheet, and now you can see your money. Okay, so now if you got gas, debit, gas, food, debit, food. You understand? You seeing your money. Okay. Now I know that I had $1,500 to go into the account. I done spent on gas and food $230. So you see what I'm saying? So now I got $1,370 left. You understand what I'm saying? Now you see your money. That's what a budget does. It helps you see the money that you're spending out. If you go and buy those 300 pair of Jordans off of Amazon account, Air Jordans, $300. Okay, now I'm down to $1,070. You ain't paid no light bill. You ain't paid no water bill. So what about mortgage? You ain't paid the mortgage yet. But at least you know I got $1,070 left out of this $1,500 payroll check.
No.
You understand what I'm saying? But the whole point is I see my money now.
Yeah, that's it.
You have to see your money in order to know how to spend your money. It is a shame. We used to teach at one time in elementary school. They taught us how to do a budget. If it was nothing else, a debit and credit system.
That's right.
That's what I've always encouraged. When I do financial literacy classes, I teach people the first thing they need to know how to is to manage their checkbook. Managing a checkbook is a debit and credit system. That is a budget. That is the first foundation of being able to write a budget. Okay? And then we can make it more complex, break it down, and show where the money is going later. But I just want to get you used to looking at what your money is being spent on, where it's going to, how much you got left. Just get that in your head first. You understand what I'm saying? Well, we better stop. But we've shared enough information.
Yes.
But anyway, black people, we got to break this poverty cycle within our neighborhoods and our communities. And like Dr. Anderson said, what's hard for us to do is to trust one another.
Yes.
Because it's been programmed into us that all we do is steal. See, there again, going back to some of that Willie Lynch stuff and going back to what the inferiority versus superiority, how those that are superior think as opposed to those that are inferior think. It goes back to the animal farm concept, all of these things that were put in place. Okay. And until we start really dealing with that honestly within ourselves, we don't like to admit that we messed up.
That's it. It's the hardest thing to do almost.
And financially,
but once you admit it,
financially is probably the biggest category because our ancestors worked all those years without being able to receive anything.
Yes.
And then even after they were emancipated, they were still denied through Jim Crowism, through laws that were put in place that prohibited them, even though they were citizens. They didn't even weren't even recognized as citizens until the 14th, 15th Amendment. You understand what I'm saying? Came, and then after that, they weren't recognized as citizens because they had to be of a certain level in order for the government to really recognize them as citizens. Okay, so if they didn't own any property, they weren't recognized as citizens. How many slaves were released that owned property? None. So they had to fight that battle. You understand what I'm saying? They missed out on the Land Grant Act, all of those things when they were divided in the West and all that land out west was given away. We didn't get any of that. It was very few. There's a few blacks that took advantage and understood and broke through that. So like I said, it's minimal though, those that actually break the system. Okay, so we have to keep fighting. That's our point. And we're going to end on that. But financially, we got to get our head out the sand. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true.
And I'm telling you, Janice will tell you, I don't budge when it comes to, you know, I'm the type, people say, well, you know, the old people used to call us penny pinchers.
I call him a Scrooge.
She calls me the Scrooge. My children, they
He's
always.
the Scrooge.
But listen, I make sure that I've got goals and plans to pass on generational wealth. So I can't be as liberal in my spending as a lot of black people. And then I'm very grateful that I'm not into all of this design. She's educated me on designer stuff since she's been in my life. I have no idea. I've never heard of half of the stuff that she, you know, and I'm like, what in the world? I'm not spending that amount of money on it. You know, no, I'm sorry. I just can't do it.
He won't.
I will not do it. It doesn't mean, give me the knockoff. Give me the knockoff. I can make anything look good. That's why. Give me the knockoff. But I am not fixing to waste valuable money that could be making me money. And I can rest at night. So when I go to sleep at night, I sleep. And I ain't worried about, I mean, you know, that's what I sleep. Yeah, amen?
Yeah, he sleeps, but he's also creating more avenues of wealth.
Absolutely. Now,
when
when
he wakes up in the morning,
I'm thinking, okay,
he's
if I
gone.
get an idea, I'm up.
He's gone.
I'm up, and it doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3 o'clock. I told her, I said, listen, we're building businesses.
Yes.
So I don't really have time to waste sleep. My sleep is valuable. When I don't go to bed not resting about bills. I go to bed, and when I'm not resting, it's because the ingenuity wheels are turning.
Yes.
What else can we create? That's what I'm looking at. Okay, so brothers and sisters, we love you all.
Yes.
And we appreciate.
And let's help. Let's help our. Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you, Sheila Martinier. Hey there, Lisa.
Is Lisa Rudolph on?
Yes.
Oh my God. I know she's going to have something to say.
Yes, she is. Thank y'all so much.
Yes.
We love you, Cassandra, Sheila, Lisa. Y'all are a blessing. Let's help our people.
Please go get these books, baby. Tell them to get the books.
Powernomics, Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Awesome.
Yes, we want to start our book club where we start reading. So please go get that book. And please go get Immigration and the Remaking of Black America.
Yes.
Please order those two for your library. You need those.
But you know, ladies, you know, we need to come together and talk, exchange dialogue, and we can plan on how, hey, Sharon, this is my friend, my former co-worker, Sharon Perry, and come up with ideas and ways that we can help our communities to generate wealth. Mm-hmm. It's not rocket science. It really isn't.
That's right.
I've been a nurse all my life. All I wanted to do was help and take care of the sick and help people feel better and educate people on how.
Okay, Sheila said post the books.
Post the books.
So
okay, Sheila, we will. how to live better lives, eat better, be healthy, keep from getting sick. And that is what I love. I wasn't focused on how to generate wealth and how to create wealth, but Brian changed my whole life, my whole mindset. And in just the 6 years we've been together, I mean, I could take the poorest of the poor and help you to not spend your money. Ain't that right, Lisa? I don't get, Lisa say, first we need to get a handle of the drug problem. Oh,
that's part of it.
That's part of it, Lisa.
Absolutely.
But some of the people don't use drugs, they're
Absolutely.
not on drugs,
Yes.
and they're
Absolutely.
poor.
Yes.
And they have
Yes.
a poor mindset, a poor
Yes.
mentality. It's a mindset. I just believe that.
Yes.
Part of it is a mindset.
Part of it is a mindset.
Yes. And it's learned behavior. Learned behavior. We're going to call
And some
you
of it is unlearned.
unlearned behavior. Exactly.
Yes.
Unlearn. We got to teach our people. We got to teach our children and our grandchildren. Every time you get $1, little Johnny, you don't need to run to the store and spend 90 cents on
What do I
candy.
tell our grandchildren whenever I give them money?
You tell them so much about money.
I do, and they absorb it.
Yes.
And all of our grandchildren have banks.
They do. Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yes.
That
they
was
do.
something that I expect. I tell them, if granddaddy gives you $100, I make them tell me what is 10% of $100.
Yes.
And they know it so well now.
They
They'll
do.
say, Granddaddy, we're going to put 10% away. I'm going to take $10 out of this before I spend anything, and that goes into my bank.
That's exactly right.
Automatically, they know that. You see, it's easier to teach children, Frederick Douglass, than it is to reteach a grown man.
Yes.
And I'll end on that.
Okay, Lisa. Okay, then Lisa said it is the mental health issue mixed with all self-made. We're gonna call you.
We'll get into that later on. That's a whole different subject.
That's awesome, Lisa.
Yeah, but we will
again,
talk about that.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Thank you for watching.
I'm glad the brothers joined
Yes.
too. Don't leave out brothers Robert and all of the brothers. Thank you all, brothers.
Thank you for watching. You know, women, we're gonna be about that money now. we gotta know. But thank you all for watching. We've enjoyed you all. Share this video. I'm gonna post those books. And listen, let's help our people. Let's help them. Okay? And we don't want to help them by feeding them. We want to help them by teaching them.
Amen. And let me say this, sweetie, before we end. One of the great things that our ancestors did, and most of you all may know this, you may not, but the Social Savings Club, have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
That was created and established from slaves coming out to pool their money together to start their own towns.
Wow.
Okay, so that's where the whole Social Savings Club came from. That came out of the mind of our ancestors.
Isn't that beautiful?
So just a little tidbit there.
That is
Awesome.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
Sheila, thank you guys. We love you all. Please share this video. Please go to our YouTube site, Men and Women of Destiny. That's Men and Women of Destiny. Share this video with as many people as you can. We'll be back next Sunday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Thank you.